The very latest here. Head coach of the Washington Commanders is seen, we're going to show the photo, I believe, of, here he is, wearing an unsanctioned, not official, NFL licensed, Washington Commanders licensed shirt. Washington Commanders with an ode to the past. The Redskins logo, we just see the two Native American feathers that are hanging off of the Washington Commanders logo. And wouldn't you know it, people are just up in arms over this on social media. The NFL will certainly come back and say that this is not licensed. They haven't confirmed that it's licensed apparel, which means it's not. Dan Quinn apparently, this is just by coincidence, wore this on a week where, in fact, it's Wednesday, there will be a hearing on Capitol Hill about the future of RFK Stadium and what's going to happen with the old stadium and who's going to be in charge of deciding that. And at that hearing, it's expected that Representative Stephen Raines is going to discuss the lack of Native American representation in team logos when it comes to the Washington Commanders. New ownership for the Commanders, they've already said that they're not going back to the old team name. That's not on the table at all. But Dan Quinn just liked the shirt. I don't know how he found it. Maybe this is, an impulse buy on Instagram. Don't know. His algorithm is sending him stuff. But he said he just liked the shirt. He wanted to wear it and did. And, of course, the social mob, everyone out there that was against it is now saying that, wouldn't you know it, they're slowly bringing it back. That they're not.
Is there a single mascot that's a Commander? Like I'm saying, do they have any alternate logos or anything other than the W?
Well, they will.
There's no human general commander that's a mascot for them, right?
No. But they may have. I don't know what they do on game day. They will have something because Josh Harris, the new owner, they're contemplating what to do moving forward. This was just Dan Snyder when they changed the name. It was Washington Football Team, and they just slapped Commanders on the bottom of it instead of Football Team. Where at the time, you and I both said Washington Football Team kind of grew on us.
Washington Redskins is okay with me.
Oh, fine.
Too.
Yeah, me too.
I'm fine with that. Now,
the logo, by the way, for the Redskins, designed by a Native American tribe out of Montana.
Yeah, and look, I get the negative connotation to Redskins as opposed to, let's say, Cleveland Indians, who also changed their name, which is completely idiotic. But I see the difference in that. I'll also say I'm only kind of joking when I say that this name could come back. I really do think that we are past the pinnacle of cancel culture, and we're way down the other side of the mountain on that. Could I see a situation where the Washington Redskins name comes back? Yeah. Owners have said a lot of things before that they're not going to do. They're absolutely not going to do this, and they end up doing it, whether it be demanding a new stadium, leaving town, whatever. Things like that happen. Minds can be changed. Now, I think that the compromise here, Hutton, would be that logo we just saw with the Native American feathers on the W. You could still be the Washington Commanders, but you could be a Native American commander of war.
Yeah.
And this could be the logo. There could be more Native American imagery within the logo where you're combining the old world of the Washington Redskins that fans have known for years, and you're the Washington Commanders, but Commanders by name only. It's Washington, and every other bit of imagery around that franchise and organization would be around Native American culture. I think that's something that could happen. I'm intrigued by the site of RFK and what could happen there. I think people are past it.
They may not keep the Commander's name, though, to tie in what you're thinking, which would be an easy tie-in.
Well, if they go back to another name, if they change the name, it needs to be the Redskins.
Josh Harris has said, he was asked about this in September of last year. We're not focused on the previous name. That ship has sailed. And he did this at an economic meeting there. And who knows? Who knows what the NFL is thinking behind the scenes too? Hey, you're getting this team. Here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to change back to whatever it was.
Well, look,
they convinced Dan Snyder to do it, of all people.
Well, they're going to, and they had Dan Snyder by the short and curlies when they convinced him to do this too on a number of things.
Well, he had some of these other owners buy that too.
Yeah, no, he did, but there was a reason that I think that he acquiesced to the league on their demands on this.
Yeah, he wanted their support.
It's about money. We say this all the time. You guys know it. Everyone knows
That would
it.
sell.
It's about money. How much would return to the Redskins name sell for them? And would it sell more than the people who want to buy old Redskins gear through somewhere else, and then you just have a third name, then you're going to sell that gear?
Yeah.
I think that if you tweak the old Washington Redskins logo and have a new uniform that pays homage to the past, I think you'd sell a lot of apparel.
Well, that right
Washington
there would sell.
football team fans.
And like you said, it's more about the name than the actual logo. Again, the logo was designed by the Blackfoot tribe, I believe.
Yeah.
When they originally came up with the
and
Washington
to me,
logo.
it's all like even the logo is, or the name aside.
Yeah.
And what people feel about that.
Here.
Right. It's the helmet. Like, to me, it's the helmet that I'm thinking about. The logo, like you said, that is the Washington football brand. That if you return to that, it's going to sell.
Kansas City, do you think they'll ever change their name from the Chiefs? I don't.
Indians, gone. Braves, remain. Chiefs,
Braves remain, and next year, not this year, but next year they'll have the All-Star game that they should have had.
That's right.
Braves are going nowhere. Chiefs remain. They remain the champions.
Unless they pass another voting law bill between now and then, they're going to get the All-Star game next year.
Right. Chiefs remain.
The Georgia legislator better watch out because Rob Manfred is waiting. He's lying in wait, just ready to take that All-Star game away from you.
If he doesn't agree with it, they'll move it to a state that has a very similar law.
You better allow everyone in your bathrooms, Atlanta and state of Georgia, if you want that All-Star game. That's what sports leagues have told everyone.
Come to find out, they just took away jobs from people on what would be a glorious All-Star week.
And now it's returning.
Kansas City remains world champions.
Chase Utley.
They will open the season again as they go for their three-peat. And they'll do so by hosting the Baltimore Ravens. A rematch of the divisional round of the AFC Championship where, Chad, we have Lamar against Mahomes and Derrick Henry in his first regular season game for Baltimore in the backfield, following the game where running backs for Baltimore were given the football a total of 6 times, and a game where the Baltimore defense held Kansas City scoreless in the second half. The Chiefs went on to the Super Bowl, Baltimore went home, and Lamar Jackson was still looking for that breakthrough. I love this matchup. I said I thought it might be Houston. No, this is the marquee ratings grab. And right now the Chiefs are 3-point favorites. That home field advantage, 2.5, 3-point favorite. Just initial thoughts. I like Baltimore the same way I like Detroit when they first see the schedule at first glance.
I think it's a huge opportunity, for both teams, but let's talk about Baltimore the same way we did Detroit a year ago. Detroit leapt onto the scene in the NFL with that one win on Thursday night, and they stayed there for the entire season and made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. Baltimore's been on the scene for a while. Lamar Jackson is an MVP. He's awesome. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows the Baltimore Ravens and knows how good they can be. But you're not going to erase it in the regular season. But to immediately get right back up on that horse that you rode to death in the divisional round in a terrible game for the Ravens in that divisional round loss to the Chiefs, and to go to Arrowhead on Thursday night to open the season, pretty cool. And Hutton, like you said, a game where they failed to give the ball to the running back, and the running game is the strength of the Baltimore Ravens. To open with Derrick Henry in the backfield, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is a good opening night matchup.
Well, and it's a stadium, Chad, where teams went in last season and won.
Yeah.
It's loud, man. You and I have both been there. It lives up to the hype, but
you know what else you get?
That home field advantage did not feel like that last year.
You know what else you get? First off, everybody's going to be talking about the first game of the NFL season regardless. You get Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but you get that either way because they're opening with the champs.
Right. I'm saying, but you get the reminder, on Thursday night that Taylor Swift is going to be there all season.
And this is NBC.
Yeah.
They get the first Thursday night game. We get the
yeah, and I know they were going to play
man.
Someone regardless because they won it all, but I'm just saying something we're not talking about yet is all those cameras are going to be back on T Swift to start the 2024 season the same way they ended last season with her at the Super Bowl.
Chad,
and it's going to piss everybody off again.
Oh,
here we go again. Taylor Swift. It's the Taylor Swift era. Once again, what era are we in right now? I thought that was the 2023 season. We're in the 2024 era, and T Swift has invaded our homes again on our television sets.
The Raiders.
They still call it television sets, or is it just TVs now? It sounded like my father there.
The television.
Go turn off the television set. I don't know why I said that. I haven't used the term television set in years. I think it's just a TV now.
I don't know.
Television set
what are the
would
kids
imply,
saying now?
Remember, Hutton, when I had like an old wooden TV.
Oh, yeah.
It was all wood around. That was a television set.
It was a chest.
There was a set around the TV, and there was a screen in the middle. Now it's just a giant TV. So I think it's not a set anymore, just a television.
I still think somewhere in my grandfather's old workshop.
An old wooden ship?
Yes. There is a TV set, Chad, with your name on it. Just like it's like a cabinet.
Yeah. I remember.
And it is heavy, man.
I was
it probably cost at the time as much as like a 70-inch would cost right now.
I watched the Unfrosted, the Pop-Tart story on Netflix, the Jerry Seinfeld
I thought that was the Backstreet
movie.
Boys.
Wow. Now that is a documentary I love.
Unfrosted.
I'm tagging that right now.
Unfrosted Tips.
Unfrosted Tips, the NSYNC story. I'll be watching that. That's going to be on Hulu too, coming up. No, Unfrosted, the Pop-Tart story, the Jerry Seinfeld written movie. Really goofy, but really funny. But there is a television set in that one when they go into the home of someone in the early 60s.
It's like the Archie Bunker TV.
It's like a bookcase with a tiny screen in the middle of it.
Oh, this was massive.
And it's the size of a bookcase, but the screen is tiny.
But it weighs like a car.
Oh, yeah. I can still see
can't move it.
I can still see my grandparents' television set. That's like a rich mahogany base around it. They had all sorts of trinkets on top. In wintertime, there'd be snow globes on top of it. There'd be all these different things. That's a great. Look at the drawers in front of it.
Yes.
You know what we had to find out the hard way? Those drawers never open because there's interconnecting wires behind that in the set. Those doors never actually were functional.
But the door on the right-hand side did. It was just the speaker.
Just for looks. Those are drawers that are just for looks.
You adjusted the color of your TV set as well.
What a blast from the past. But that was the same color as my grandparents' television set. I grew up watching.
It's a Ron Burgundy special.
I watched General Hospital on that TV when I got home from school. Nana would have it on General Hospital every day.
I watched a lot of
2 to 3 p.m. I got to see the very end of General Hospital, the last 30, 45, or 15 minutes of it.
I watched a lot of Ricky Lake and Oprah because that was on when I got home from school on my grandmother's TV.
I sit and think
2,
back.
4, and 5 is all we had. The ABC, NBC, CBS.
Channel 5 News was my grandmother's house all the time. National News. Dan Rather. I hear a lot of Dan Rather on that television set on Channel 5. That set. Can we show that one more time?
And Peter Jennings.
This is what's hard for kids and even us to really factor in and remember.
I know.
And for our parents even to think back to this. Think about how far you would sit away from that television set and actually see the action.
In standard depth.
Our eyesight was so much better because we were conditioned to the shittiest of pictures on TV.
Or you couldn't afford to go to the eye doctor.
I didn't know any different. And the moment I saw HD for the first time, I think in 2004, would probably be the first time I saw an HD television. I remember thinking, what have I been watching my whole life? And how did I even see the moving images and what was happening?
In today's prices, that TV set, Chad, let's go prices right. This is your showcase showdown.
Okay.
What are you putting on this?
In today's prices.
I'm
going to say it's expensive.
It was a 21-inch console might cost you $500 in the late 70s, early 80s. Okay. In today's prices, what do you think it is? Showcase showdown. And we'll get Davey to also.
$2,500.
$2,500 is Chad's showcase showdown price. Davey?
I would say probably closer to $5K.
$5K. The actual retail price in today's money, without going over, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
$3,300.
Whoa, I went under.
Are coming to spin the wheel.
Dave and I were both close. And worth every penny. Back in 1987, that bad boy right there was worth every penny.
America's Funniest Home Videos.
Yeah, that's another one.
Let's see.
Designing Women. We used to watch all Designing Women
Home
on that.
Improvement.
Yeah.
That show Dinosaurs. You remember that show?
Yes. Do you remember? So there's I think I've mentioned this before. There's a podcast I like called Stick the Landing. Andy Greenwald hosts it, who's a TV writer. And they review these series finales. Some of the most famous, like The Sopranos, MASH. And they go through all these, but they have one that's just wacky 1980s TV finales.
Yeah.
And they look at the finale of Dinosaurs. Do you remember what happened in the finale? Dinosaurs lasted 4 seasons.
Did they go extinct?
No, like they had this whole serious ending where, like, it's like an environmentalist ending where, the dinosaurs move and something happens. Basically, it's like blaming people for ruining the planet. And dinosaurs. Yeah. It's a very sad ending where, like, the parents
Hollywood.
Killed their child, dinosaur, by saying, we've done this now.
Very Hollywood.
And it's like a cut to black moment.
I think a meteor should have just come in and just destroyed them.
What in the world just happened? They're trying to send a message?
Look at this.
Yeah, it's one of the strangest conclusions to a series ever.
Also, I mean, imagine that being your job, to be in that suit or whatever every single day.
Alf was another one that was in that suit.
Alf
was another one that I had to go back and watch the last 10 minutes. You know what happens at the end of Alf? They thought they were going to get another season. They didn't, where they could conclude the story. Yeah. And they had to do a TV movie about it. But he gets taken by the government. Like at the very end, like the family says goodbye, and like these generals come in and take him away, and he's making jokes to them, and they're very serious.
What?
And it just says to be continued. And that's the end of Alf.
What?
This lighthearted family comedy about an alien coming down from
This is our generation.
Melmac, right? Wasn't Melmac the
Man,
planet?
you remember, your pull on that is amazing.
Oh.
This is our generation. We grew up with this, watching this craziness, right? You had E.T., Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, right? And now we sit here on OutKick and say, DBAP, don't be a pussy. That same group of...
The same group.
Yeah. Is now, the same group that watched Beavis and Butthead and, season 1 and 2 of South Park, where it's Jesus versus Santa, is now looked at, where Alf's finale would be, canceled now.
Well, think back to Married with Children even. Look at Alf from Melmac. If you really want to have some enjoyment, not enjoyment, because we don't want to relish other people's agony, but go search the dad from Alf, the guy who played the dad, and look what happened to him after Alf, and even during Alf. Just trust me on that at some point. It's amazing. Hutton, think about Married with Children, even back in the day.
All in the family.
Well, Married with Children, think of how problematic the depiction of Kelly Bundy would be.
Roseanne.
In today's terms.
No doubt.
Like, the whole joke was she's a huge slut. That was it. Like, she was a teenage slut. And everyone laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And it was the funniest thing ever when I watched it as a kid. I'm looking back, I'm like, wow. Well, the 90s were wild. Wrestling in the 90s that we watched these videos all the time.
Really gone the opposite.
It went hard.
But meanwhile, we still have Kim Kardashian.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, we can laugh at her, too.
I mean, but you see that play out in real life.
What's really funny is Christina Applegate is like the opposite of her Kelly Bundy character. Yes. She's really like funny, smart, reads all the time, artistic, and she kind of played that character in a different way. But that was a great show. We laughed at that show.
We're getting some of these back.
Remember Bud Bundy when he went to Grandmaster B, the rapper? It's a whole storyline where he was a rapper.
See, Chad was who I Chad lived in a home that I wanted to go over to in high school or in
because you were allowed to watch it.
Yeah, you could watch this on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. It turned into all the time, but every now and then my dad would come in after we were out working on the farm, and Monday Night Raw was on, and you've got the Double Birds in the corner by Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's shotgunning beers, and The Rock's coming in. And
who was the hottie with Jeff Jarrett? Was it Deborah?
Deborah, who's now married to Brock Lesnar, I believe.
That's the one that I'd have to change the channel if I had it on.
Not a storyline, a real life marriage.
The women of WWE back in the day wrestling, that's when I'd have to change it because they were wearing nothing when they entered the ring.
Yeah,
my mom would be like, what is this again?
Pillow fights and
it's wrestling.
The brawn panty showdown and all that stuff. Yeah. And now, like, they're getting paid $50 million per show to go over and wrestle in Saudi. not able to show anything.
Well, it's incredible that everyone thinks that society has been degraded to a point that, like this is normal and this is normal. And that's true for a lot of things. But if you go back and watch, I would challenge you to go back and watch like even comedies that we would think were kind of kiddie comedies back in the day. And the language today in family comedies is far better than Hutton when we grew up. I'll give you an example. Last night, my daughter and I started watching Big. Tom Hanks, Penny Marshall directed, 1988. Tom Hanks nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor, playing a little kid all grown up in Big. Great movie. I mean, they say GD all the time. There's a lot of cussing in it. There's a whole thing where he's like feeling the breast of the grown woman, as he's Tom Hanks. Like, there's stuff you got to fast forward through for kids that when we were kids, I don't think we thought about the language as much that would be in these movies. It was like to hook our parents into a movie, you had to have an adult plot line, and they had to throw in curse words to do that.
Yeah, like Mrs. Doubtfire. That was always there was like one scene where we had to fast forward through as kids, and then I wish I could go back and there's your big reference, Chad. I wish I could go back and fast forward through one of the opening scenes of Jerry Maguire. I would have been able to watch that film.
Yeah. That's one. We've discussed that before. You had to know exactly when to take a bathroom break around your parents or in a group during that scene. And I'm going to go ahead and warn kids out there now who's going to watch Jerry Maguire for the first time that's watching this show. When they get to the airport and Jerry is talking to Renee Zellweger's character, go ahead and excuse yourself at that point because there's going to be about a 2.5-minute window where they're going to cut to immediately a scene that you will not want to experience with any adult in your family.
Especially your grandparents.
Trust me on this. Hutton watched it with his grandparents.
Grandmother.
I had seen it before and were watching with both my parents, and I went to the bathroom as they were in the airport knowing what was to come, and I planned it properly.
They knew what was to come.
And it came.
Chad was in the restroom at the time.
I was. I'm kind of listening through the wall to make sure it's over, and I'm like, okay, now they're talking. All right, they're still nude.
And it's still on the TV.
Okay, hold on. They're eating fruit. All right, Tom Cruise still sweaty, eating the fruit. All right, now it's time to go in. They've gone to a new scene.
Chad, we're going to see Bronny James in the NBA next year, playing for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Speaking of 90 sitcoms gone wrong.
Dude, so threw this out there whenever we've known for a while that LeBron wants to play with his son, right? He's going to be 40. The Lakers are trying to lock him up for like 2 or 3 years moving forward. And Clutch Sports, as a part of it's expected that there's going to be at least a nod and a wink that, well, he's been medically cleared now to enter the NBA by the physicians, by the medical experts, because he had the cardiac arrest at USC last August. Chad, because of this, it is now expected that since he's been cleared, that Bronny James is going to be a Los Angeles Laker next season in the National Basketball Association. That he's not going to remain in college and pick a spot in the transfer portal, that he's going to be transferring to play with his father with the Lakers. And now it's just assumed that he's going to be drafted, not in the first round, second round, because the Lakers are going to pick the guy that LeBron wants. And they are going to be very, very specific on pre-draft visits and workouts. And who do you think that team's going to be? Don't even need to work out for the Lakers at this point, do you? They're going to do it in order to keep LeBron, and LeBron's going to play with his son. And Bronny, who, averaged 5 points in college? It's it's bizarre, man.
I don't know how much of this is LeBron making the decision and how much of it is Bronny wanting to do this and convincing his dad and the Lakers to do it. But this is the worst possible way to enter a league.
I agree.
I mean, if you want the title of Nepo baby for the rest of your life, regardless of what happens, and let me tell you what's going to happen. He's going to be out of the league the moment LeBron's out of the league in 2 years. If they go through this, he's not ready. He couldn't be a good college basketball player a year ago. Go somewhere else, prove yourself, average double digits per game for a season, then enter the league and join your dad. This is entering a professional situation under false pretenses. And through really no fault of Bronny on this, I don't respect him coming into the league this way. Who could? What competitor could respect him? He doesn't deserve a spot on an NBA roster. If his name was not Bronny James, if it was Jonathan Hutton, and he was a freshman at USC who suffered cardiac arrest, who came back and then
I'd be on academic
barely
probation right
scored,
now.
Hutton, you'd have a hard time finding a landing spot in the transfer portal right now. Right? Like,
Right.
I mean,
I'd be back
thinking
home.
about the NBA, like what world are we living in? We love sports because black, white, brown, yellow, purple, whatever your religion, whatever your political affiliation, we get behind it because it's unpredictable and it is a meritocracy.
Yep.
You are good if you are good. If you're not playing. You're not in the league. Bronny James isn't good enough to play in the league right now. And it's a shame to me that he's going to be taking someone else's spot, opportunity, what have you, because he's LeBron James' son. And I know that in business, this stuff happens all the time, where there are hand-picked successors that do not belong running a business. Don't load up my timeline telling me about all that. We like people who play sports at the highest level because they have beaten that system. Doesn't matter their background. Doesn't matter where they came from. It's can you play? Have you put in the work? Are you talented enough to help a team? And if you are and you can, then you will. Bronny is not any of those things right now.
It has nothing to do with his performance in college.
It pisses me off.
It's based on his LeBron's star power and his influence over Los Angeles and the Lakers. But here's the thing.
This makes me not like the league even more because it's almost WWE-like. This is a WWE storyline in the NBA.
Yeah, but except everyone else is making the right call by not spending a draft pick on him. And he may not even – I mean, you don't have to draft Bronny James if you want him. You can get him as a two-way, non-drafted player, but the problem is, I mean, he's going to be a Los Angeles Laker taking a spot. It's just the Lakers. Now, here's the other thing. There is some discussion that LeBron, and it's through Clutch, the agency, Clutch Sports, so other than Los Angeles, here are the franchises, Chad, that have been thrown out there that could get a workout with Bronny. Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and Golden State. Those are the three. And if there's another organization, it won't be more than like one or two more.
Who's the coach of Oklahoma City? I know the Popovich tie-in with LeBron, who Popovich has coached him for the Olympic team.
The coach is anyone that Bronny and LeBron want.
Yeah, I don't understand why Oklahoma City would be one of them is what I guess I'm asking. I understand the Golden State connection, and I understand Pop in San Antonio with LeBron and his relationship with him. I just don't think it's a good thing to enter the league as basically a Make-A-Wish kid. And that's what that's what Bronny James is right now. He is the Make-A-Wish NBA Rookie of the Year because the wish is to play with Daddy. And that's Daddy's wish too.
Yes.
I don't think that's the way for anyone to enter the highest level of sport.
And just looking at the connections, OKC, I mean, the connection to me would be with Sam Presti, the GM, who's been there forever, more so than what's the connection to the head coach.
Is his kid going to be the assistant GM also? They're going to come up together?
I don't know.
Sam Presti Jr.?
He's the longest tenured general manager in the NBA, which, I mean, means that players love him.
Well, imagine if Ken Griffey Jr. actually sucked and got to play with Ken Griffey Sr. for a season or two with the Mariners.
It would be
Ken Griffey Jr. was awesome. Everybody knew he was better than his dad.
No, it would
when they drafted him, he wouldn't play because he was a phenom.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Like I was watching that thinking, this is cool.
This would be
son is far more talented than dad. Dad was a good MLB player, and you knew it right off the bat. This is the Make-A-Wish version of that.
This would be if Ken Griffey Jr., if that full talent was actually senior, and then you've got Ken Griffey Jr., who is known about as well as Jerry Rice's son, who's an undrafted player right now. I think he's out with the Rams, maybe. If he's not with the Rams, he's out west somewhere. Point being, he's on a 90-man roster, unlikely to make the roster. And we're already talking about Bronny James, who isn't that good in college, making the Los Angeles Lakers roster because his father's there. All because, I mean, LeBron wants to do it. And, Chad, here's the other sad part of it. If the Lakers don't do it, LeBron could go anywhere and have that team do it. You know?
Oh, absolutely. And,
And-
that's
and
what
by the
makes
way,
me. It's
LeBron-
what makes me not like the NBA with stories like this.
Well, yeah.
I'll also say,
And it could happen
he's-
organically. Let him improve.
he's going to suck, and no one in NBA media is going to talk about it.
Well, he's not going to play.
No, but even when he doesn't play 2 years in or barely plays, everyone is going to protect him. Why? Because they do not want to upset LeBron James.
No doubt.
There's not going to be any negative talk about Bronny James from those that are covering the league.
But there's not much negative talk about players, period.
Now, inside the NBA might. Those guys don't care.
Well, here's the other thing, too.
They'll share their honest opinion.
He'll remain in the league after LeBron retires because LeBron's going to be the owner of the Vegas franchise. So Bronny will be there. You know, that's his other dream that will come true. He's already demanded. Not even demanded. He's already stated that, yeah, I'm going to be a part of that. So he will be. He's the king. He ascended to the throne a long time ago. The 40-year-old's the face of the league. If he wanted to be the logo, if he said, you know what, I want Bronny to be the logo of the NBA, do you think the NBA would do it?
We need to change. We need to right our wrongs of the past and remove that white Jerry West from the NBA logo.
Yeah.
And I
league's
need
not
to
about
be
dribbling.
your NBA logo, not Michael Jordan, not Magic Johnson, not Kobe Bryant, not other true greats. There was a push, by the way, for Kobe Bryant to replace Jerry West for a while. Not any true greats of the game before me, but me, LeBron James, needs to be that logo to replace Jerry West.
You know who would? Kobe would never, if his son was coming, he would never do this way. Kobe.
No, he'd probably talk trash to his son about his game.
He would.
He would hurt his feelings so bad, he would transfer to Florida Gulf Coast to prove himself for a year and then enter the league 2 years later.
Chad, you will not be watching the NBA tonight, or is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. You're already counting down, though. You've got this on your iPhone 6S, the countdown to the WNBA season. I was noticing this.
It's an iPhone 9, actually,
what is this?
But thank you.
The number keeps
Caitlin
going up
Clark,
every time.
Let me tell you what it is, all right? Because you're going to be doing the same thing. You're going to pop some popcorn. You're going to have your beverage of choice.
You know me well.
Tomorrow night, let me get the exact tip-off time. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern time, when the Indiana Fever on Tuesday night travel to take on the Connecticut Sun. This game will be on ESPN2. It is Caitlin Clark's debut in the WNBA. Now, when I first saw this report, I read it as ESPN and Prime Video are planning an NBA Finals level production for Caitlin Clark's debut in the WNBA. When I read more closely, I saw that it's a WNBA Finals-like production. So then what I had to do was I had to go research what a WNBA Finals-like production looks like because I, Chad Withrow, have never seen a second of one WNBA Finals game.
So this is going to go head-to-head with an NFL event?
I did my research. And I saw that the WNBA production includes two-use multiple camera angles, including below and above the rim cams, roving handheld cameras, player microphones, pregame show, halftime show, and postgame coverage with their A-team of Ryan Rocco, Rebecca Lobo, and Holly Rowe on the call. Hutton, I am shocked to say I'm going to give this thing a chance.
Because Rebecca Lobo's on the call?
Because Holly Rowe is going to be there. No. Because Caitlin Clark is debuting in the WNBA.
Where's Big Game Beth?
I'm going to watch. I don't know.
Where's Beth Mowens?
Does she still call basketball, or is she football exclusively?
Beth Mowens is the LeBron of play-by-play.
I think she renegotiated her contract. She said, guys, only 11 a.m. Big Ten games that no one wants. I'm sick of calling. She only does WNBA playoffs.
Okay, yeah.
And college football games at noon that no one watches.
Okay.
That's what she wants. That's what she watches.
There will be.
That's what she calls. Caitlin Clark, I'm in. I'm going to watch. I say all this in jest, but I'm seriously wanting to watch how she does in the WNBA.
Same. But she's going to crush. No chance for the Sun, by the way.
The Connecticut Sun have sold out their home opener for the first time since their first year as a franchise.
Every team
to watch Caitlin Clark.
That's going to be a headline for every team whenever the Fever are on the road.
I forgot. WNBA countdown, not NBA. Not to be confused with the NBA countdown. We'll start at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, Steve.
30 minutes before the 7:30 Eastern time. I said 8. 7:30 Eastern time tip-off.
We'll be tuned in.
LaChina Robinson, Monica McNutt, and Carolyn Peck will handle pregame, halftime, and postgame.
With Stephen A.
Stephen A. Smith may be there live.
Chad, Coming up, Trey Wallace will join us. He'll join us live. We will discuss the biggest headlines across
By the way, if that's not
college
enough
football.
WNBA action for you, Hutton,
Yes, go ahead.
to follow, you're going to get the Phoenix Mercury and the Las Vegas Aces.
Now-
I believe the Aces are the defending champs.
I'm
That's a hell of a doubleheader
This was
on
just-
WNBA opening night.
Well, we're talking 2 months ago, right? Yeah. About how long ago was the championship for women's college basketball? A month and a half?
Yeah, it was early April.
16 million, right?
Yeah,
We're not
17,
far removed.
something like that.
Same network. Let's see what happens.
If they go over 5 million, that's a huge win.
Well, they had 2.5 for the draft.
It's ESPN2.
Right? They had 2 for the draft?
Yeah, this is going to be on ESPN2.
What a great...
I think if they get over 1 million, that's pretty good.
what's on ESPN?
That's a good question. Tuesday Night Baseball?
There's your controversy right there. Probably Dan Quinn.
How dare you?
They're going to air the hearing.
We got
on
Rangers
Capitol Hill.
Orioles instead of Caitlin Clark's debut.